There's a difference between liking a house and actually getting it. Redfin is built to make up that difference and close the gap between finding and owning the home for you. Redfin agents close twice as many deals as other agents. So when you find a home you love, you're not a step behind when it comes to making an offer. That means less watching great homes disappear and more focus on the one you'll call home. Redfin helps turn saved listings into real addresses. Get started at redfin.com. Own the dream.
Oh yeah, look at my life. Hey now, yeah. Oh yeah, look at my life out here on the road. Oh yeah, look at my life. Hey now, yeah. Oh yeah, look at my life out here on the road.
Hey now.
Hey now.
Hello, my friends. Welcome to Scott Fox After 9. I got a fun one coming up here for you, so I hope you can stick around for this episode. But a little programming note, I'm not going to do an episode tomorrow. No Wednesday episode. I'll tell you why. I've got a golf tournament tomorrow. It is for a good cause. Media people that have lost their jobs, and God knows there's enough of them out there right now. So I'm going to go and play golf tomorrow. And you know what? It's summertime. Tomorrow, Team Canada plays at the World Cup. There's a lot of other things going on. I think I can fit all of this week's news into 4 episodes. And today, I've got a lot of it. Before I get to it, though, I want to play something for you that caught my eye yesterday on social media. There's a lot of people from around the world that have come to North America, and they're getting introduced to mainly American culture. A little bit of Canada, but the American stuff is really dominating the headlines. I want to play a couple of things for you here. Number one, the amount of people that are getting into North American fast food is fascinating to me. It never occurred to me. A lot of the fast food places that they have in America probably don't exist in other parts of the world. A lot of the products that we have, too. Listen to this.
I'm in America for the World Cup and trying Chick-fil-A.
I'm in America, and I can't lie, I've been hearing about Waffle House.
We're in the States for the World Cup, so we figure we might as well try some Raising Cane's, couple Canadians.
We have normal Dr. Pepper. We have Dr. Pepper Zero. We have Diet Dr. Pepper. We have Dr. Pepper Strawberries and Cream.
Cajun chicken, mashed potato, and gravy.
I'm trying KFC for the first time in America.
But a burger.
Tacos. My God.
First time Chipotle.
As a Brit in America, In-N-Out is amazing to me.
You can also get Dr. Pepper Cherry Zero Sugar. You can get Dr. Pepper Creamy Coconut.
I'm currently in Brooklyn, New York, and I'm about to get Mexican food from a food truck.
Ah, you're lying. Oh my days. Oh.
Isn't that crazy? Holy cow. We take that sort of thing for granted. I know, but I thought that was fascinating how into it the world is. Now, the other one I want to play for you is from a Scottish fan who has traveled over to Miami. And he is there for the Scotland-Brazil game, which, if I'm not mistaken, is tomorrow. So this guy made an observation about North American men. Try not to take this personally, guys, but listen to this.
American girls, I get it. I heard an American guy hitting on a girl, and do you know what he was saying? I love your energy. I love your energy. Your energy's amazing. Okay, Chad, do you know you can call her funny as well? Did you know that you could say that her outfit is fantastic? She looks absolutely 10 out of 10. You know that you could have a wee bit more game? I honestly feel sorry for the American girls. American guys just don't have it. They don't have the gift of the gab. They don't know how to make a lady feel like she's a specimen. It's weird. Like, just say hello. You're better off just saying hello than be like, I like your energy.
Does he have a point? I asked this question on my radio show today, and the question was very simple. Have North American guys lost their game? Have all guys lost their game? Ladies, what do you want? Because it used to be very, very well understood that if you were interested, you had to go up to the person and strike up a conversation and try and get their number. Now, in the digital world and the online dating, a lot of that process is easier, I would think, but it seems like there's a lot of people that are very unhappy with their options in the online dating world. So I'm wondering where we go from here. This guy's suggesting North American guys, they have no game. Ladies, do you want them to have game? Are you ready to be approached in person again? Are you girls ready to be a little bit nicer? You know, there was a time there where it was just sort of understood by guys that don't even bother going up to women anymore. They're stuck-up snobs. I used to hear that a lot in the clubs toward the end of the clubbing era. So I don't know. Where are we at here? Anybody who wants to weigh in on that, slide into my DMs. Friday, I will definitely have a listener DMs episode. Now I'm going to get into some of the other content that I've got for you. I want to play for you a video from the Ottawa Police Force. I don't even know where to begin with this one other than I'm not really surprised, but I'm still highly disappointed to hear this.
Members are using our databases as their own way to meet women. Seeing a woman at a coffee shop, coming out of a gym, driving next to them, getting their license plates, and running them on the system. We've seen members messaging vulnerable victims on calls that they've attended in an attempt to develop an intimate relationship. There's a clear need for OPS leadership to acknowledge that this issue remains present and to speak openly about it. Silence or minimization only allows the behavior to continue.
Are you kidding me? Wait, what? We've got cops that are in a fitness center's parking lot, and they see a hot girl walk out of the gym. They watch to see what car she gets into. Then they run the plate so that they know how to get a hold of her, so that they know how to contact her. Tell me that's not a thing. I mean, yes, police do have the ability to do that, although as I understand it, they have to have a compelling reason to be able to access the database of license plates. So, sounds like that's not what's happening here. It sounds like this is purely for recreational activities, and frankly, we can't condone that. Police officers, I get it. You want to meet people too, and you work weird hours, and maybe you think this is your best bet to try and meet somebody. Don't do it. Don't violate the trust of the people that you are there to serve. That's what this is. That's what this is. You're violating the trust of the public. You're there to keep us safe and keep the peace. That's your job. And when you're at work, please try and focus on work. Now, by the way, having said that, because I got to call that out, that is bad behavior. But I think we also need to acknowledge what's going on with police right now, because it seems like they are under full-blown assault at the moment. There have been so many incidents involving police officers where officers either lost their lives or were seriously injured in the line of duty, doing what we ask them to do. And yeah, it's a dangerous job, but nobody goes to work thinking that they're going to get killed on their shift. But that's what's happening right now. And it's happening in larger and larger numbers, in more frequency as well. You know, that shooting in Montreal, I've been watching the footage of it from different angles, and frankly, it's appalling that happened on a Canadian street. I assume by now everybody has seen it. This shooting in Montreal. Officer Mohamed Lamine Bendrouen, 34-year-old, shot and killed in the line of duty June 22nd while he was dealing with an active shooter at a hotel. Let's not forget about Mark Pinizzato, Toronto police officer, shot and killed June 11th, doing a search or a warrant execution of some sort. It was a high-risk takedown, and he got shot to death on the job. Taryn Bally, a 29-year-old OPP officer, struck and killed by the suspect that he was attempting to apprehend way up in northern Ontario. It's happening too much. If I missed any officers, I don't mean to. There's no disrespect intended there. It's just, you know, how much more of this are we going to take? This isn't normal either. This isn't our country. Cops getting shot to death or killed on the job? What the hell is going on here? Scary stuff. And our police officers deserve our support. You know, I know that a lot of folks' property taxes went up over the last couple of months, and a big line item in the budget is policing. Well, let me tell you something. The policing isn't the problem. You have incompetent mayors that can't budget and can't control their spending. That's why your property taxes went up. The fact that the police portion of the budget went up, that's not the reason your property taxes should have gone up. Police deserve every resource available. We've got to make sure that they're safe, and we've got to make sure they've got the upper hand. You know, frankly, I was watching that Montreal shootout, and the cops looked completely outgunned. Scary stuff. Police need everything they've got. I'm going to move on. Yesterday, Prime Minister Carney caught again on a hot microphone. Listen to this.
MPs, and they're useful for votes. Yeah. No, but you have more or less a British system.
We have exactly. Yeah.
So you need and same with all the.
I know it was quick. It was hard to hear off mic, but the mics definitely caught it. Mark Carney insulting his own members of parliament. The visiting Croatian prime minister, they were supposed to be having an ad-lib conversation as the cameras went in, but the mics were already on. And you heard exactly what Carney said. Let me play it one more time. They're useful for votes.
You just have MPs, and they're useful for votes. Yeah. No, but you have more or less a British system.
We have exactly. Yeah.
And then bam, as soon as he realizes, the mic's on, bam, he snaps into prime minister mode. You know, if he's making those kind of comments to a visiting leader, I wonder what he really thinks. I know he's never going to come out and be honest with the Canadian people, but it really seems like he has nothing but contempt for Parliament. He does not seem to appreciate democracy in any way if he doesn't respect Parliament. And now he's calling his own MPs really just useful for votes. You know, he's the guy making the decision. The MPs, they just have to vote for what he tells them to vote for. Not their conscience, not their constituents. They're just useful for votes. Crazy stuff. So, you know, by the way, that's pretty much all I'm going to play of the Prime Minister today. But I do want to play more of Pierre Poilievre. He did a news conference yesterday. And you know what? I'm going to get to the Pierre stuff right away. There's important stuff happening in our country here, my friends. You've got the Prime Minister with basically no respect for Parliament at all. We have a major scandal brewing right now in the Prime Minister bailing out real estate investors in British Columbia. Here is yesterday Pierre Poilievre speaking to the media.
Hi, Mr. Poilievre, Sarah McDonald, Global News.
Good morning.
First of all, you've been in BC for the last few days. You've been speaking with British Columbians about a lot of issues impacting them, a lot of really interesting talking points in BC as well, with the dichotomy with our NDP government provincially, partnerships with Carney on a federal level. What have you been hearing from British Columbians specifically during your time on the ground over the past few days?
British Columbians cannot afford the Liberals and NDP. The cost of living is skyrocketing under the Carney Liberals. People are saying that they walk into the grocery store and they walk out anxious, and they've paid $300 for a few measly bags of groceries that will barely feed their family for a week. We see people lined up at food banks. We see homelessness on our streets. The Carney Liberal recession is hitting British Columbia harder than perhaps anywhere else in Canada. And they want someone to fight for them, fight for an affordable economy, a strong economy, and a growing economy. And that's what I've pledged to do.
Thank you. A follow-up specifically on the grocery prices. We've heard talk about the corporate entities being held to account. Does more need to be done on that front from the federal government when it comes to, if you want to call it price fixing or what have you? Every Canadian who's gone into a grocery store has seen the price of produce, has gone to a comparable store, and they're rising everywhere. Does something need to be done on a larger scale in terms of why we're seeing these prices, why every Canadian is seeing these rising prices in the grocery stores?
Well, I think it's a very good question. We have to ask, why is it that food prices are rising so much faster in Canada than they are in any other G7 country? Obviously, our Liberal government is doing something that is making things worse than any other country. We can't blame global factors when the prices rise faster here than anywhere else. So our practical suggestions include getting rid of the industrial carbon tax that raises farming, food processing, and fertilizer prices. Let's unblock our resources so that we can produce more of the fertilizer and the other inputs here in this country. And let's open up real competition so that the grocers have to fight for the customers by driving prices down, because you deserve affordable food. Thank you.
Does anybody disagree with that? I mean, you've seen so many announcements over the years, so many times, like back to Trudeau. How many different times did the government come out and say, we're going to take on the grocers, we're going to get the price of groceries lower? A year ago, Mark Carney himself said, judge me by the price at the grocery store. So they've clearly done everything in their toolbox to try and solve the problem, and grocery prices have done nothing but go higher. When are we going to try something else? like cutting costs for the producers and for the grocery stores, like cutting out the industrial carbon tax, from the food processors to the farmers to transporting it to the terminals and then to the stores. That alone is going to save money by getting rid of the industrial carbon tax. That'll save a lot. Take it off the fuel as well, and bam, we're cooking. Those are real savings. How about introducing some competition? Hey, listen, we have very few companies that control a massive portion of our grocery market. I think Canadians are smart enough to see when it comes to mobile phones, cell phones. When you have fewer players in the market, the prices go higher. When there's more competition, prices go lower. You understand? It's the same in grocery. The thing is, in grocery, we don't have a TELUS, a Bell, a Rogers, and then a whole bunch of little guys underneath. It's really like 3 big companies that control like 80% of the market. It's bananas. There's really no competition. And you know what? If they can all just sort of agree, well, we make more money when we sell eggs for $5.99 than for $2.99, so we're going to sell them for $5.99. And as long as everybody keeps their price in and around $5.99, we're all going to make money. I don't know if that sort of stuff goes on. I'm sure it doesn't on a formal level, but you only have to be as cheap as your competitor, right? Hey, listen, we need more competition. I thought those were smart words from Pierre Poilievre.
Hi, Jared Yergo here with Sitka Media. So on the Alto line, sometimes to build for the future, you need to spend a little bit of money. So I'm wondering, are you against high-speed rail in Canada as a concept, or just the way that this project has gone about?
First of all, the Liberals are promising to spend $5 billion over the next year just to study the idea, not to build a single inch of rail. A bunch of Liberal insiders, activists, lawyers will get rich, making single moms, seniors, and small businesses poor. If this project ever gets built, it will be 15 years from now, and it will cost every family $8,000 in higher taxes. 95% of Canadians will never even use it, and it won't take a single car off the road. It will just take passengers out of airplanes that don't need subsidies. So let's focus on bringing down the cost of living. I would rather, here's my counter proposal. People say, what's your idea? My idea is let's improve the transportation of every single Canadian by taking the GST off used cars. Right now you're paying double, triple, and even quadruple taxes on the same vehicle as it's sold and resold. Conservatives would use the Alto research money to take taxes off used cars so that you can save $2,000 on your next vehicle. That would give a real, tangible savings to real people rather than forcing British Columbians to spend $8,000 per family on a train they will never get to use and from which they will never benefit, even if it ever gets built.
And a couple of days ago, you brought up a story of a woman you met who felt safer in Mexico than in Vancouver. And I've been speaking with people from all over the world who are in Vancouver, and they feel pretty safe. Now, obviously, the plural of anecdote is not data, but what the data shows is that Mexico is far more unsafe than Vancouver. So I'm just wondering if you could tell me why you chose to bring up that particular anecdote at this time. Because
it was a story that a lady told me at the airport. And I'm not, there are a lot of women who frankly feel very unsafe in Canada today. There are cases that we've had that women who've testified before parliamentary committees that they have left Canada because their partner, their violent partner, has been released from prison despite crime after crime after crime after crime. I give you the example of Bailey McCourt, a documented story from right here in British Columbia, where Liberal bail released her ex on bail even after he was convicted of serious offenses, and hours later he murdered her. So I think Liberal commentators online that tried to silence this lady that I met at the airport, frankly, they should be ashamed of themselves. And they have no business telling a woman that she should not demand safety in her community. There are women right across this country who do not feel safe, who are afraid to go on transit, who are afraid that a violent X is being released yet again under Liberal laws, and then these Liberals expect me to be quiet about it. I'm not going to be quiet about it. My job is to fight for the safety of women and men right across this country, and that is going to require a wholesale repeal of all the Liberal crime laws that have unleashed chaos on the streets of Vancouver and right across this country.
This is the thing about politics right now. You've got the federal Liberals who are in power, and they know it and they love it, and they are using every ounce of power they have to ram through legislation that fits their agenda. Why aren't we having serious conversations about topics like Pierre Poilievre just brought up? You know, we talk a lot about the crime stuff, and a lot of that was the anger was driven by stolen cars and home invasions and assaults on public transit, for sure. But we don't often talk about the domestic abuse. How many women truly do not feel safe in this country right now? We have a justice system that's letting them down, letting out violent repeat offenders over and over and over again. You know what I'd like to hear? Mark Carney talk to Pierre Poilievre about that topic and about how we can fix it. You know, I'm sure that two smart guys, if they sat down and talked, could probably figure it out. But here's the thing. The Prime Minister doesn't want to talk about issues like that. He wants to talk about issues, well, you know, maybe it's not fair of me to say that. I'm not going to suggest the Prime Minister doesn't care. Maybe he does, but his actions certainly don't imply that. Here's somebody who wants to be Prime Minister, who's talking about a critically important issue and offering a solution. I'd like to hear the same from Mark Carney. Not talking points. I'd like to hear what he's going to do for some woman who is scared to be in this country because Liberal bail laws keep releasing her violent ex who's threatened to kill her. I'd like to know what Mark Carney is doing for her. Because when you bring it down to a personal level, like Pierre Poilievre is doing, I don't think the Prime Minister or the Liberals have any practical solutions.
A burst pipe. A dead water heater. The AC calling it quits. Who do you call? HomeServe is an easy way to handle unexpected home repairs, with plans covering stuff basic homeowners insurance usually won't. Instead of scrambling for a contractor, you make one call to get the repair process started. Join the millions of customers who trust HomeServe right now. Go to homeserve.com/podcast for 50% less your first year. That's homeserve.com/podcast. Savings compared to renewal price, void in Florida.
I want to go back to the condo discussion. I was just wondering, what solutions would you propose as an alternative to what the Prime Minister is putting forward? I know that during the campaign, you proposed cutting the sales tax on all new homes. That's something that we've seen some, initial progress in Ontario with that deal that the Fed struck with the province. Would you like to see that apply on a national level, or is there anything else further you would like to do to address the kind of glut of condo sales we've seen in BC and other jurisdictions?
So first, the answer to your question is yes, I want to see all taxes taken off home building. The sales taxes, and we need to incentivize municipalities and provinces to get rid of all of their home building taxes. Secondly, we need to insist that municipalities speed up permits and free up land to get more built very quickly, and my infrastructure policy would do that. We need to cut the bureaucracy, red tape, and taxes that are responsible for our high housing costs under the Liberals here in Canada. That is a real solution. What Mark Carney and the Liberals have done is they've inflated a housing bubble with too much money printing and immigration driving up demand, and too much red tape and taxes blocking supply. Having created the housing bubble and now bursting that bubble, now they want to come and bail out the bankers and developers who profited from it. And this is another example of a tiny club of Liberal elites, billionaires, and insiders getting rich by making hardworking Canadians poor. So I'm calling for the Carney condo bailout of developers and bankers to be cancelled. As for the condos themselves, you know what the solution is for them to become affordable? The developers need to lower the sale price to a level that people can afford to pay. And when they do that, those condos will sell. And some say, well, the condos, the developers will lose money. Somebody's going to lose money. So who's it going to be? Is it going to be the waitress and the welder paying for it on their taxes so Carney can give a tax-funded bailout? Or is it going to be the developers and bankers who were trying to profit off of the bubble in the first place?
Great response from Pierre Poilievre. You know, this condo builder, real estate investor thing that Mark Carney is doing, this has the potential to be his equivalent of Doug Ford's jet. This one could sink him. And I'm going to tell you why. Because this isn't something that is liberal or conservative. This is something that is just right versus wrong. The Prime Minister bailing out these wealthy real estate investors so they don't have to do anything uncomfortable. They don't have to lower the price. They're going to get top dollar for these condos that they built. And it's going to be taxpayer funded. So that what? We can put somebody who needs low income housing right on the Vancouver waterfront in a nice penthouse? I don't think so. I don't think that Canadian taxpayers want to be landlords. I don't think we need to get into that business right now. I think there's other ways, many other ways. In fact, Pierre's talked about them. Many other ways that we can save the real estate market before people completely lose their shirts, and so that we aren't bailing out these wealthy individuals. But you know who's got a real unique perspective on this? I want to play for you a little bit of a video that Ron Butler, the mortgage guy, put out yesterday regarding this bailout for condo builders in British Columbia. Ron, he uses some profanity, and I don't on the pod, not very often anyway. So I'm going to warn you that if you have younger ears around, maybe you want to turn it down for a second. But please, don't just take it from me. Listen to Ron, the mortgage guy.
This is just a fucktastrophie. This is an unmitigated fucking crazy town fucktastrophie. Prime Minister Carney flies out to Vancouver, goes to see a soccer game. Canada wins, World Cup game. Canada wins, woohoo, good, happy. But the fuckery is, and it is total fuckery, he announces a bailout for BC condo developers. Yeah, no fucking kidding. Like, I never believed this would happen. I always said, no government is so fucking crazy that they're going to bail out condo developers. Like, condo developers are despised in general. No government would ever have the balls to bail them out. Boom! We're bailing them out. So with a combination of, I guess, federal money and some provincial organizations, they're going to buy 2,200 condos developers can't sell. Like, they're stuck with them, okay? It's a bailout. It's just a fucking bailout, yeah. That's what it really is. I mean, they said a million weasel words about it, and what the fuck are they talking about? But in the end, you realize, no, they're buying extra condos. They're not going to do it's all going to be great. We're going to rent them to the people who need them, low rents or social housing. It's going to be wonderful. Fuck you. You bailed out developers. Like, developers, when they were making money for 20 years, buying Ferraris and fucking having 6 houses across the world, can't we let them go broke if they fucked up? Like, what the fuck? Like, can't we do that? Like, should you fucking have private profits and then the losses are fucking socialized? Like, that is not fucking free enterprise. That is not capitalism, okay? It is fucking not. The idea is you make a shit ton of money building these condos for years, then you make mistakes, you overexert yourself, you think you're fucking geniuses, you think the sun shines out of your asshole, and you just keep on building them for more and more and more money, pre-sell them, and then not pre-sell them, or just general fuckery. You made a mistake. Developers, you made a mistake. You went too far, too fast. You should go into receivership, and some have, but obviously the rest are going to get saved by fucking Mark Carney and Dave Eby, which is fucking crazy. Like, the Canadian taxpayer should not be buying any extra fucking unsold condos from Vancouver developers. Fuck no, just plain no, but too late, fucking done.
Is it too late? I mean, the smartest, most responsible thing that could happen right now is for Mark Carney to realize, hey, I screwed up. I made a mistake. I did not realize the Canadian people were going to have such a low threshold for this sort of nonsense. So I'm taking it back. We're not doing that. We'll figure out another way. I I don't think he's going to backtrack. Like, when's the money out the door? And then we taxpayers get hosed again, and there's no recourse whatsoever. Can't even force an election because he lured some people over to his side through floor crossing, and he's basically running the country like he's the king.
A burst pipe. A dead water heater. The AC calling it quits. Who do you call? HomeServe is an easy way to handle unexpected home repairs with plans covering stuff basic homeowners insurance usually won't. Instead of scrambling for a contractor, you make one call to get the repair process started. Join the millions of customers who trust HomeServe right now. Go to homeserve.com/podcast for 50% less your first year. That's homeserve.com/podcast. Savings compared to renewal price void in Florida.
I'm going to leave federal politics there for now. I want to play for you a follow-up to something I talked about yesterday on the pod. Ford Fest was held on Friday night in Scarborough, Ontario. Ford Fest is a free event that is put on by the Premier and his family, and it's attractions and games, and there's some rides and a free barbecue. It's a nice event, especially if you're living in Scarborough and hungry and desperate for things to do because you're broke, like a lot of people are. Go to Ford Fest. It would have been a nice night. But OPSU, the Public Service Union, they bussed people in and shouted down the Premier and made it kind of an uncomfortable situation. Now, like I said yesterday, I sympathize with OPSU, and I think that they've been done wrong, and I think the province needs to make it right. But I don't agree with what they did in crashing Ford Fest. Well, now more info is coming to light about that Ford Fest fiasco. One of the things that was very apparent was on Sunday, you could tell an order came down from Doug Ford's office to every Conservative MPP. Not only do you have to post about how great it was, you've got to say certain things like the atmosphere was electric. There was like a variation of scripts, it seemed, and MPPs could just choose one and post it onto their social media with a picture. Well, the thing is, it looks like the picture may have actually been digitally altered to make it seem like something happened that didn't, i.e. massive crowds that were there supporting the Premier, when in reality it was mainly union folk disrupting the thing. I want to play for you a video that was put out by Marit Stiles. She is Ontario's leader of the opposition. She is the leader of the NDP party.
Okay, so you might have seen this already, but Doug Ford got booed at his own Ford Fest this weekend, loudly, by a lot of people. And instead of asking himself why, his government went and edited the photos to make the protesters look like supporters. There were union workers there in purple shirts, and the government, they turned the shirts PC blue. I'm not making this up. It's straight out of the Trump playbook. And here's the part that really gets to me. Those workers that they painted over, a lot of them are the people who care for the most vulnerable Ontarians. These are frontline staff in our social services, in developmental services, in our hospitals. This government has underfunded them for years, and now they're literally erasing them from the picture. That tells you everything. They'd rather fake a happy crowd than deal with what people are actually facing, like the cost of living, and especially groceries. So here's what we would actually do. We'd take the tax off groceries, all of it, ban surveillance pricing so companies can't use your data to charge you more, and break up the grocery monopoly so smaller stores can compete and prices come down. And we'd properly fund the workers who hold this province together instead of treating them like they're invisible. That's a real plan, not a Photoshop job.
Okay, I'm going to leave it there. Interesting. The NDP and the Conservatives seem to be fairly aligned on this in the war against high grocery inflation. You know, the Liberals have let it happen for the last 10 years. There's zero way to deny that. This has happened on their watch. But interesting to note, the Ontario NDP and the federal Conservatives are each pitching cut taxes and break up the monopoly. Bring more competition into the market. As for the editing of the photo, I mean, holy cow. Did they actually do that? I'm reading from a lot of different places that may have happened. Did they actually do that? Edit out the people that were in purple protester shirts to make it look like they were wearing blue shirts, meaning they were there to support the Ford Fest thing. I would love to think they didn't do that. That's, well, I mean, hey, you heard Marit Stiles. I do want to say, though, You know, it seems like things are starting to get a little out of hand for the Ontario Progressive Conservative Party. And as I've been speculating since last year, Doug Ford's job in the last election was to win it and quit. Now I'm reading stories about Doug Ford maybe getting closer to quitting. The thing is, Doug Ford doesn't want to go out at his absolute lowest. He'd probably like to go out on a high note. So, Doug, if I may, you need to do some media, my friend. You need to get your butt into my podcast studio, and you and I need to have a conversation. This is an open invite to the Premier. I'm doing it again. Doug, come on the podcast. Let me talk to you about a few things that maybe you're misunderstood on, or maybe you want to double down and clarify on. I want to ask you about some things that the regular media is not going to ask you, and I want to have a conversation about issues and where the province is going and how we got to the place that we're at now. Open invite to Doug Ford. You can take me up on that anytime you want. I will meet the Premier anywhere, and we will try and hash out some issues. Where do I want to go here? A couple of different things. Savannah Guthrie. We all know her from the Today Show. You've likely heard that her mother was kidnapped, and we heard that there was a ransom note. Now, as it turns out, there was a second note, and the second note says that Savannah's mom was dead. The first one wanted a ransom. The second one said she was dead. Savannah Guthrie got pretty emotional on the Today Show once again. I guess she is coming to terms with this, or maybe she's known for a while. I don't know, but listen to this.
The bravery and courage with which you have done this job every day since that happened, nothing short of remarkable.
Wow.
Nothing short of remarkable.
I love you guys, and I love this place, and this is unusual and unprecedented, to say the least, to be sitting here. But, you know, I don't have any comment on the story, and I'm not involved in our coverage. But I can't pretend I'm not here. And so since I am, I wanted to just take the opportunity to ask people, to beg people to come forward. Somebody knows something. And this is a news story today that is on your radar, but this is the life that my sister lives, that I live, that my brother lives, that our extended families live, that our children live every day. And we are in agony. And we cannot be at peace. So no matter how much I try to come out here every day and smile and find that joy, and I will, I promise I will. This is a moment to tell you that we need your help. We're begging for your help. And I'm not going to miss that opportunity. And so please, if you're watching,
yes,
no matter how small, the reward is there. You can tell us. It can be anonymous. Please do the right thing for us, for our family, for our children. And we love our mom, and we'll never stop looking for her. Never.
To your point, if you have any information, if you're watching, if you're listening, if you have any information at all that could help investigators and could help this family find just a modicum of peace, the phone number is right there on your screen. 1-800-CALL-FBI.
That is hard to hear. What a bizarre story. What went on here? Was this actually for ransom? Kidnapping Savannah Guthrie's mom, trying to get money? Was it a case of mistaken identity? Were they actually looking for the mom, or were they looking for Savannah? You know, I really don't know what went on here, but the whole thing is weird. I'd like them to solve it just because, I mean, well, obviously there's a family that would like some closure and would like some answers as well. But even for the rest of us, the whole story just presented very strange. Yesterday, I talked about the British Prime Minister, Keir Starmer. He's walking away. He's resigning. Yesterday, President Trump talked about it.
Sir, you've been quite critical of Prime Minister Starmer, and he's now resigned. Your thoughts, and who would you like to see as the next Prime Minister?
I was critical only for this because I think he's a lovely man, but I said you're really messing up energy. You have windmills all over the place. In the meantime, you have the North Sea oil, and they won't let anybody drill. It's one of the great fields in the world, and they haven't even found most. You know that the UK buys much of its energy. You know where? Norway. You know where they get their oil? The North Sea. The UK has a much better portion of the North Sea. They don't want to do it for environmental purposes, okay? And I told him, he's a very nice man. I mean, sort of a friend of mine. I mean, he was not good to us with NATO, Pete, right? He said, we can't use the island to land. That was the first. For a couple of weeks. He said, well, but ultimately I gave it to you. Now, that was a bad move. That hurt him badly. But I mean, I wish him well, but he's got two problems: energy and immigration and crime. but energy and immigration.
He's got the same problems that we have in Canada. Energy, immigration, crime. It's the big three. Left-wing governments all have the same issue. It's the same issue. Last thing I'm going to play for you. Melanie Joly, federal cabinet minister. I believe she's the industry minister now. She was over in China trying to work out some deals around the EVs. Well, this is a weird one. Listen to this.
And as well as China, which I went for a second time following the visit we had back in January. And so I have a clear mandate on the part of the Prime Minister to achieve two objectives. First, to bring the best technologies to Canada. And second, to be able to protect the 500,000 workers working in the auto industry in Canada. And so in China, I met with 4 different car-related companies, so Chery and BYD, also Geely and Shanghai Launch. I also met with key Chinese officials, the vice president, and also 2 ministers, one in charge of industry, the other one in charge of commerce and trade. And I was also heading a delegation of key CEOs from major national companies from Canada, including 2 pension funds, Sun Life, Canada Goose, Tech Resources, and Cameco.
Wow, she met with some very senior individuals over in China. Holy, there's some important people that she rhymed off there. And this is over a maximum of 49,000 EVs, right? That's the thing? Because part of what Melanie Joly said her mandate from the Prime Minister was to protect Canadian auto jobs. Let me put it to you this way. If the Americans don't like what we're doing with China, that's not going to save any Canadian auto jobs, especially if he decides to pull the plug on Kuzma and he says we're taking all of the auto manufacturing back to America. We're in serious trouble. Something like this is an agitator. The federal government knows this. I don't know if I believe them anymore when they say it's only a cap of 49,000. That's smaller than 3% of the whole market. I don't think that all those people are meeting with Minister Joly for 3% of the auto market. Something else is going on here. But friends, I'm going to leave it at that. Reminder, no episode tomorrow, but I will have a brand new one here for you on Thursday. Go Canada, go at the World Cup, and go whoever you want to go, and have yourselves a great one. Thanks for downloading this episode of Scott Fox After 9. If you liked it, if you enjoyed it, if you think you know somebody who might also enjoy it, share it with them in any of the apps, whether it's Apple Podcast or Spotify or what have you. There's a share button there. Just copy the link, or you can text it directly to them. Tell them to listen. Have yourselves a great one. I'll see you soon.